Book 4 of the Nicomachean Ethics. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Jeffrey Edwards. The Nicomachean Ethics by Aristotle. Translated by Thomas Taylor. Book 4. Chapter 1. In the next place, let us speak concerning liberality. But it appears to be a medium about riches. For the liberal man is praised, not in warlike concerns, nor in those things in which the temperate man is praised, nor again in judicial affairs, but in the giving and receiving of riches, and more in the giving than in the receiving. We call, however, riches everything, the worth of which is measured by money. But prodigality and illiberality are excesses and defects about riches. And we always, indeed, ascribe illiberality to those who pay more attention to riches than is proper. But combining, we sometimes attribute prodigality to the intemperate. For we call both the incontinent and those who consume their property in intemperance prodigals. Hence, men of this description appear to be most depraved, for at one and the same time they have many vices. They are not, however, appropriately denominated, for he is a prodigal who has one certain vice, viz. The consumption of his property. For he is a prodigal who is destroyed through himself, since the consumption of his property appears to be a certain destruction of himself, as through this the means of living are obtained. In this way, therefore, we consider prodigality. With respect to those things, however, of which there is a certain use, it is possible to use them well or ill. But wealth is among the number of things useful, and he uses everything in the best manner who possesses the virtue pertaining to each thing. He, therefore, will use wealth in the best manner who has the virtue pertaining to riches, and he is the liberal man. The use, however, of riches appears to be expense and donation, but the accepting and preservation of riches is rather possession. Hence, it is more the province of a liberal man to give to those to whom it is proper, than to receive whence it is proper, and not to receive whence it is not proper. For it is more the province of virtue to benefit than to be benefited, and to perform things which are beautiful, than not to perform things which are base. It is not, however, immanifest, that to giving, to benefit, and to act beautifully are consequent, but to receiving, to be benefited, or not to act basely. Thanks also are presented to the giver, but not to the receiver, and praise is rather bestowed on the former than the latter. It is, likewise, more easy not to receive than to give. For men are less willing to bestow what is their own, than not to receive what belongs to another. Those also who bestow are called liberal, but those who do not receive are not praised for liberality, but are no less praised for justice. Those, however, who receive are not very much praised. But of all those who are loved on account of virtue, the liberal are nearly beloved the most, for they benefit others, and this consists in giving. The actions, however, according to virtue are beautiful, and are for the sake of the beautiful. The liberal man, therefore, gives for the sake of the beautiful, and gives rightly, for he gives to those to whom it is proper, and such things as are proper, and when it is proper, and whatever other particulars are consequent to giving rightly. And this he does either delectably or without pain. For that which is conformable to virtue is delectable, or without pain, but is in the smallest degree painful. But he who gives to those to whom it is not proper, or not for the sake of the beautiful, but from some other cause, is not liberal, but must be called by some other name. Nor is he liberal who gives with pain, for such a one would prefer riches to a beautiful action. But this is not the province of a liberal man. Nor does the liberal man receive from whence it is not proper to receive, for neither is such a kind of receiving the province of one who does not honour riches. Neither will the liberal man be readily disposed to ask a favour ; for it is not the province of him who benefits to be benefited easily, but he will take whence it is proper, as, for instance, from his own possessions, not as a thing beautiful, but as necessary, in order that he may have the means of giving. Nor will he neglect his own affairs, because he wishes through these to supply the wants of certain persons. Nor will he give to any casual persons, in order that he may have to give to those to whom it is proper, and when it is proper, and where it is beautiful to give. It is, likewise, very much the province of a liberal man, so to exceed in giving, as to leave but little for himself. For it is the property of a liberal man not to consider himself. But liberality is denominated according to the property which is possessed. For the liberal does not consist in the multitude of gifts, but in the habit of the giver ; and this habit gives according to the means of giving. Nothing, however, hinders but that he may be a more liberal man who gives fewer things, if he gives them from less means. But those persons appear to be more liberal who have not acquired property themselves, but have received it from others ; for they have had no experience of want, and all men are more attached to their own works, as is evident in parents and poets. It is not, however, easy for the liberal man to be rich, since he is neither anxious to receive nor preserve wealth, but is more disposed to give, and does not honour riches on their own account, but for the sake of giving. Hence, also, fortune is accused, because those who most deserve to be, are in the smallest degree wealthy. This, however, does not happen unreasonably ; for it is not possible that he should be rich who pays no attention to the means of obtaining wealth, as is also the case in other things. Nevertheless, the liberal man will not give to those to whom he ought not, nor when he ought not, and other things of the like kind. For if he did, he would no longer act conformably to liberality, and by thus consuming his wealth improperly, he would not have the means of giving to those to whom he ought to give. For, as we have said, he is a liberal man who spends according to his property, and on things on which he ought to spend ; but he who exceeds his means in spending is a prodigal. Hence we do not call tyrants prodigals, for it does not seem to be easy by gifts and expenses to exceed the abundance of their possessions. Since, therefore, liberality is a medium which is conversant about giving and receiving riches, the liberal man will give and spend on things on which he ought, and as much as he ought, as well in small things as in great ; and he will thus act willingly, and with pleasure. He will likewise receive whence it is proper, and such things as he ought to receive. For since this virtue is a medium about giving and receiving, he will do both these in such a way as is proper, since a receiving of this kind is consequent to giving equitably, but a receiving which is not of this kind is the contrary. Things, therefore, which are consequent may subsist together in the same thing, but it is evident that contraries cannot. But if it should happen to the liberal man that he should spend beyond what he ought, and beyond what is becoming, he will be pained, yet moderately, and in such a manner as is proper. For it is the province of virtue to be pleased and pained with those things with which it is proper to be so, and in such a way as is proper. The liberal man, also, is very pliable in pecuniary contracts ; for he may be injured, since he does not honour riches, and he is more indignant if he has not spent what he ought, than pained if he has spent what he ought not. For he does not assent to Simonides. But the prodigal errs also in these things ; for he is neither pleased nor pained with things with which he ought, nor as he ought. But this will be more evident as we proceed. It has, however, been observed by us, that prodigality and illiberality are excesses and defects, and in two things, viz. In giving and receiving. For we place expense in the same class with giving. Prodigality, therefore, exceeds in giving and not receiving, but it fails in receiving ; and illiberality fails, indeed, in giving, but exceeds in receiving, except in small things. The peculiari